Thank you for tuning in today to I Retire for Him. Your retirement years can be 30 years of purpose-driven, fully funded ministry, years of making impact in ways and places you never imagined.
Welcome to I Retire for Him. We are your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg.
You know, when a man retires, his whole life really changes. Everything that has defined his being has been stripped away, and all he's left with is himself and a whole lot of time. So, do men and women look at retirement differently? I think we do. For 3 shows in a row, we're going to interview a newly retired couple. Last show, we sat down with Donna Smith from North Carolina. This week, we talked with Donna's husband, Rodney, about his perspective on retirement. Then on the next episode, both Rodney and Donna will be back to share their perspective, share a little dirt, I'm sure, too, and really give their perspective as a retired couple. So what will we learn today from Rodney that will differ from Donna's perspective shared in the last episode? And how will it help all of us as we approach or live out our years in retirement? I have no idea what this is going to be like, but Rodney Smith, welcome to I Retire for Him.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
So, Rodney, we always like to do this with every first-time guest on any of our shows. Tell us your Jesus story. Where did Jesus first intersect your life?
Junior high school, 7th grade, youth group. I was, my oldest brother, actually, professed his faith, and it was like, that's a good idea kind of thing. And it was like, for me, it wasn't as immediate. It was like a 6-month process, that I guess you'd say I said the prayer, spoke the words, and then that continued to turn in me for months and months until then. It was like 6 months later, and actually one night in a youth group that I was like, I get it. And that was when I accepted Christ. And had the full understanding what he did for me.
That's right about the time your wife started to check you out. You were 7th grader. She was in the college and career group. Okay. All right. Okay.
No, she wasn't paying attention to the neighbor
she was
boy.
Not to
Come
know.
on.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. So
I am forever going to give her a hard time about that. Okay. All right.
So we asked Donna this question, and we want to ask it of you too. What do you believe is your calling on your life? Separate from necessarily your career, but God probably used your calling in your career. What has God gifted you to be as a person?
I've always been easy to talk, communicate. So I just speak, to people. I like giving a smile. Opening opportunities for conversation. Felt like I did that pretty good at work through my career, and now a little more involvement in the local community, doing some stuff.
But wait. Wasn't your career in forestry? So you're saying these conversations you were having were with trees? I mean, you're so
when I wanted a sane conversation, it was with a tree sometimes. But, I traveled all over the country in my career. I did what was called wildland firefighting, and so I've started out immediately. I missed my first 3 anniversaries after taking, because we got married, and I took this position before we had our first anniversary, and the Forest Service already had me on the road my very first anniversary, and that was only 2 months after I think we got married. And so no, it's only 3 weeks after we got married.
Wow.
Anyway, and I was already on the road with my job, and so but traveling, the different people all across the like I say, the country. I don't know. I just, it was just like I said, I just tried to be a good person and have, what I call wholesome conversations, because trust me, I've heard plenty of none.
So in your working years then, you had opportunity. I mean, God probably used that ability to talk with people when you would just show up somewhere and you wouldn't know anybody, but you needed to work with them and be able to relate to them. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So tell us, because we should have done this with Donna, and we'll have to do it when they're both on there. So tell us exactly what your career path kind of was. Like, you started out in forestry, you're fighting fires all over the country. Is that what you were doing?
Well, I started out of college. I worked as a local mill as their forester, and found out about
For the rest of the country, mill is what he was trying to say.
With an accent.
M-I-L-L, mill is what he was actually trying to say. Okay. Now, he wasn't eating all of that. That wasn't his first thing. He started with a mill.
Lumber mill.
Lumber mill.
But I actually found an opening when I was looking at government timber for sale on the local national forest here. And I had never really paid that much of attention to it. Although I was born and raised in this area, I had the benefit of having private land to always hunt and fish and recreate on. And so we never utilized the public lands. And so I found this position, and I found out about the position, and I thought we'd come home, talk to Donna. I thought, well, let's throw my name in the hat. And a long time, it takes, the wheels turn very slow.
Yeah.
Months and months. But yeah, I ended up with the job in 1992, and up until 3.5 months ago.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay, so kind of a fun fact for everybody. You had quite a highlight towards the end of your career. What did you get to do at Christmas a couple of years ago?
Yeah, I considered it a great honor that I was chosen to be the actual sawyer for the Capitol Christmas tree in 2022, where I got to actually cut the tree up. Typically, you cut a tree down, but this was the only tree I've ever cut, and it went that way.
Wow.
So they have a crane attached to it.
Oh my God.
So it doesn't smash.
Okay.
So it doesn't smash at all, right? So
Right. Yeah, they pick it straight up. It was pretty good. They had the tension on it. We had a crane operator on radio direct, close by, and we were in communication as far as my progress and what they were doing and everything. So they had put a certain tonnage lift on the tree itself and like a 10% pull away from me. So for my safety, the tree would go up and go away from me.
Wow.
And it did.
So once you accomplished that, then were you like, okay, I'm good, I can retire now? Or how did you prepare for your retirement?
Well, we have a date. Being it was a federal position, so you have a date. You have to be so many years of service with a certain birth date. And for me, I had to have at least 30 years of service and had to be 56 and 8 months old.
Okay.
Was my date. And so I met that date, and being the good employee I was, I gave them one more day and worked past.
You're so generous.
Yes.
Generous.
56, 8 months, and one day.
And one day, yes. So anyway, I had 33 years in, exactly.
Wow.
When I
Well,
That's pretty exciting.
So how did you then, so that prepared you for what you were retiring from. You want to talk about that after we do a mention, Jim? What he's retiring to? Okay, so hang on to that thought for just a moment. Having resources to change your perspective on retirement can be very valuable. I Retire for Him is a valuable resource as a podcast, an email, and as a book. So you can order your copy of the book today at iworkforhim.com/bookstore.
And you can get it as an ebook, you can get it as an audio book, you can get it with the cool ink and cover and sniff the pages kind of a book. Any way you want. I Retire for Him. And you get it at the iworkforhim.com/bookstore. All right, Rodney, everybody knows what they're retiring from. You retired from 33 years of working for the government in the forestry division. But how did you prepare yourself for what came after that last day, after 56 years, 8 months, and 1 day?
Well, we Donna had retired already, had been retired for a period of time. And so we had plans of things to do. I had a short list of catch up, I guess you might say, around the house, things to do. And I've continued to work on those. But we talked about getting involved in our local community and working with both. We have the pleasure of having both of our parents, all four parents are still alive. And so we've been greatly involved in more so with her parents than mine, but still with mine as well, just doing for them too.
So what are we at now? Like 3 months? Has it been 3 months since you retired?
Three and a half, almost 3.5 months.
Not that he's counting, but almost 3.5 months. What has surprised you so far about retirement?
My wife is very routine and scheduler, and she does very, very well. And I've used this line for many, many years, is that she's the reason I show up on time to places, and I'm the reason she has fun. So, yeah.
That's kind of a throwdown right there. Okay.
No, it's a reality for them.
It is, and it works. It has worked very well.
Good. And
she is my scheduler. Even when working, and now she will receive a text with a date. What's going on? And she'll have it back to me usually in a matter of seconds and everything. But but inside of that routine, her being retired a couple of years before I came home, I've heard that a few times, and that surprised me a little more than I thought it would. Was
you screwing up her schedule?
I'm getting in the way a little bit. Yeah. So and not bad, and it's been more of a little bit of a joke thing. There's no animosities or anything. It's just
she told us off the air that she's going through counseling because it's been so traumatic for her.
You're terrible. But it's a real reality that you're dealing with, because you probably had a very strict schedule in a lot of ways within your work environment. And there's a part of me that thinks that, okay, I want to experience what life will be like to not have to set an alarm and to not have to show up somewhere when I have to, and see what that feels like. And so that balancing, that trying to figure out how to dance, in a new way, is a reality that I would imagine a lot of our listeners either have already experienced or they have it to look forward to. So just figuring that out. But I think it's good to draw that out, because it's a reality, is that you're just living life in a new way and trying to figure out what that looks like.
All right. So talk to us about God and your retirement. So it's only been 3.5 months, as you say, but how do you envision how God's going to use you in your retirement that's different than maybe what you expected?
God's always out there ahead of us. In all of my plans I've had through the years and thought I was pulling things together, I get to my personal little finish line, and he's standing there waiting on me. And it's like, he was there. So through many, many years, we love our community, and we've been involved with little things, minor things, but did not realize the contacts we were making with some of the local organizers of the soup kitchen and some other assist programs for homeless and the needy in the community. And actually, the contacts have turned into friendships that we have now, that we're on first name basis with a lot of these people, or mainly two, that we are going to have the opportunity to be even more involved in. And I'm looking forward to that. Again, being the individual that does not mind to talk to people, I'm really looking forward to getting into the community a little bit more and helping out. And as I think Donna said in her segment, that she'll have it well organized. And so that's the thing, is I show up, I'm the mouthpiece, and she's, I'm ready to go. So
it's a good dance partner.
That's it. I'm more of the heavy lift, is the way I refer to it a little bit.
She mentioned that kind of like the lead weight or something.
I don't think that's it.
Heavy weight, the heavy lift. That was something like that. It was like, yeah, okay, all right. So, what have you learned about who God created you to be in retirement? I mean, it's only been 3.5 months. It's still very, very fresh. But what have you learned about who God created you to be? I mean, it's a whole different world. You had 33 years with the Forest Service. You have between 30 and 40 years left of your life. What do you think? Who did God create you to be, and how does it look different in this next phase?
Well, one thing that has been a continual thought process of late, more so, and actually focusing on it a little bit more of what am I supposed to be doing? Prayerful thought is involvement, and not being reserved, being a little more available, even more so than I typically am, and I don't know, just increase my accessibility to people that have a need or just a conversation. A lot of people just like to get things off their chest. And so try and be a better listener. I've got talking down pretty good, but I could do a better job of listening.
Hey, you might want to consider becoming a chaplain at your local fire department. That is a great place to learn to listen. It's phenomenal. Speaking of listening, we'd love for you guys, everybody listening to this podcast, to invite us to your local retirement group. Whether you're in a retirement community somewhere around the country, or you've got a small group, or even a large group at your church, Martha and I love to talk to retirees or those people preparing for retirement to talk about truly retirement planning, not financial planning, but what are you retiring to? We'd love to have the opportunity to come to speak to your retiree group. We try to make it as reasonable as possible for you to get us there. Email me, jim@iwork4him.com, jim@iworkforhim.com, and let's chat about making this happen.
Okay, Rodney. So the moment we've been waiting for, to have this conversation and and wonder how you feel retirement is different for a man than for a woman. What's your perspective on that?
Careful, she's in the room.
That I haven't really thought about that a lot, to be honest with you. As far as the difference, again, I'm a little more active out there, willing to go do and whatnot. So I think that will be, and maybe that's more for Donna and I than just male female kind of thing, but right now we stay very busy with her folks primarily, but as well mine. As I don't know if she mentioned, I went as recently as earlier today to clean my gutters out for my parents, and so there's certain things that we're catching up on and doing for them that I have the time to do now, and so that's. I don't know. I guess the only difference is like I said, for me, it would be a little bit more looking forward to it, especially more involvement. Some of our men's groups in our church where we attend, I'm looking at being a little more involved in that as well.
Yeah, the problem is those men's groups, they meet at 6 a.m. What is wrong with who wants to get up at 6 a.m.?
Hey, and I remember this from you brought this out at Donna's, but they also meet at Brewski's.
Sure. Drinking coffee.
A good
coffee
cup of
at Brewski's.
Okay, so I want to know, how are you doing on you had an expectation probably of your to-do list that you said, like catch up things. Do you feel like you're making progress, or is it just keep getting longer?
Yes. It is. I'm getting things done. I'm actually happy with that. But at the same time, as my son pointed out, you got the rest of your life to do it. So that's, I'm also taking that easy. We have set more on the front porch, and intentionally. Beforehand, you did things when you had a chance. Now there is a conversation of, hey, let's go sit on the front porch together. And we sit out there and we catch up on things. We may be on our phones independently, but we're together and we just enjoy it. And so I really like that. But I'm slowly turning the curve on the to-do list. Some of it was I retired in late winter, so I didn't check everything off my list that requires a little bit of colder weather. I don't want to disturb the snakes or have them disturb me, either one. So I'm going to go back to some stuff come November.
Yes, you're a smart man. That's why he's had this career of preparation, so you know how to handle things and when to handle them.
It wasn't just the trees you were talking to. It was the snakes you were talking to as well.
He doesn't want to be a snake whisperer.
That's right. So for those listening and they're preparing for retirement, what kind of words of wisdom do you have for them or encouragement do you have for them?
Take advantage of it as soon as you can. I've thoroughly enjoyed it thus far. We had a lot of discussion. Again, Donna's retirement was a little more abrupt the way it happened, but at the same time we were ready for it, and she had semi-retired anyway, so she was home a lot. But we had a lot of conversations about things and ready for this and be prepared for that and be thinking about this. And so make sure you keep a good open dialogue of what's going on and the expectations. And but I if you can financially retire and take care of yourself, I'm all for it. I'm lucky. I feel blessed, extremely blessed to be retired at my age already. So, and so far I'm having a blast.
That's awesome. Rodney Smith, thanks for sharing a little bit of your story. We look forward to hearing you and Donna together on our next episode, but thanks for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
You've been listening to I Retire for Him with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Remember that retirement's a state of mind and it's a stage of life. So say it with us and mean it.
I retire for him.
Thanks for listening to I Retire for Him with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Most Christians tend to follow the world's pattern of rest and self-pampering during retirement. However, in your retirement, you can be focused on God's unique call to love, serve, and help others. This can be your best season of life if you take advantage of a life's worth of knowledge and experience and combine it with a greater freedom of time and money and invest it all in the generations both preceding and following you. I Retire for Him is encouraging Christians to find and follow God's call in all seasons and aspects of life, especially in retirement. Join this movement of God so you can say, I retire for Him.